Hi, this is Miss Cox here, and today I want to show you how to insert a chart or graph into a Microsoft Word document. So here on the right hand side I have my Excel document. I have several charts here that I'm going to add in. For my report I've chosen to use the two charts on current. If you're one of my students, you're welcome to choose the two charts on current or the two charts on resistance. To insert them, sometimes you can click and drag across. It does not let me do that with this current version. So the best way to do it is either right-clicking and going to copy, or you can click on the chart you want to copy and hold down Control C as in cat, and that copies the image, or in this case graph. And I'm just going to go to the bottom for now, and I'm going to paste it. You can right-click and go to paste. You'll see there's several different options. I just like Control V. V as in vampire is paste, and it'll just paste it in. There's no options. So now you'll see my first graph has popped up. I'm going to go ahead over here. I'm going to go and select my second chart, Control C to copy, and then I'll come over here and press Control V to paste. So now once you have your two charts in, this is the tricky part. How do you format charts in Microsoft Word? Let me close this. Okay, so at this point I now have 3 pages. My first 2 are text, and then on my last page I have my 2 charts. You know, this isn't very helpful as it is. So if I click on this, if I click on this first chart, I can actually click and drag it to where I want it to be. But the problem is, if you just click and drag it, you'll see it'll cut your paragraph in half if you try to stick it in the middle of the paragraph. So what you do is you click on the chart, make sure it's selected. You can go to page layout, although there's a couple ways of doing this. I'll show you. So you can go to page layout and go to wrap text. And wrap text means how is the text going to fit around that chart. And let's say we want the chart to be tight, the text to be tight, so it's right next to the chart. Now if you'll see, I click and drag this. Oh, see how the text kind of wraps around it? Now the problem right now is my chart's a little big. So I'm going to resize it by clicking and dragging from the corner. Make it a little smaller. If this is too big, I can always resize it. Let's see if I can resize it to go to 12. See, these don't need to be super large if it's being printed in Microsoft Word. So here, that's probably fine. I'm going to click and drag this so it fits in near the research findings section. Oop. It takes a little finesse to figure this out. If you make a mistake, like I accidentally clicked and dragged the title there, just press Control Z to undo. And then just make sure you're clicking and dragging from the white background of the chart. Okay, so let's say I'm happy with that. Let's get my other chart added in. So this time I could go and select it and go to page layout and change its formatting here. Or you can also right click on the object and go down here to wrap text, and I can go to square or tight. So let's take a look at the difference. So I click on square and I click, let's drag it up here. Oh, I did that same thing again. Click and drag from the white space. If I click and drag it up here, there's a slight difference. You'll see if I put it a little closer, technically the difference is supposed to be square gives it a little more space, but honestly here this doesn't look like that big of a difference. So I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to resize this so it's a little smaller. Once again, I'm going to change the size of the text here so it's smaller. And I'm going to play around with this for a little bit until I like the position of my 2 charts. Right now I'm not too happy with the positioning of them both, so I'm going to spend a little time to do that and then I will come back. Okay, so I resized my charts and now they're on the top of the second page, and I tried to make them about the same size. And you'll notice they're in place. If I zoom out, it's not looking so bad. I've got my charts in my report. The problem at this point is that if you have a chart in a report, you need to label it underneath with figure 1, figure 2, figure 3, so on. So I actually need to label these, so they are labeled as figure 1 and figure 2. So what I need to do that is actually insert some text underneath. Now, the problem is I could try to tab over and magically get some text in there, but there's a really easy way of doing it in Microsoft Word. If you go up here to the Insert tab and go over here to Text Box, you can actually create a little box for some text. We'll just go with simple. We don't need anything exciting. And you'll see a box of text has popped up. I want you to type into this figure 1, because this is going to be the text box for figure 1. I'm going to resize it. I'm going to move it so it's right underneath my first figure. Does that look about centered? Oh, hey, look, there's a box actually around that. That's ugly. Let's fix that. To fix it so there's no box around that text, click on it once, and then up here, go to Shape Outline. And basically, we just want that box to have no outline. So I'm going to click No Outline, and now the problem is that it's actually covering up the outline of my chart. So I'm going to drag that down a little bit. Oh, there we go. Look at how that fit in nicely. Now, I'm going to actually copy and paste that, so I have another one just like that. Control C and then Control V. I'll call this one figure 2. And then this one I'm going to click and drag down here. Now there's a problem. Oh, it's on top of my text. Let me zoom in so I can show you this. So right now, if I look at this, it's actually overlapping with my text. So that's a problem. What I want it to do is have the text go around it so it's not in the way. To do that, just like when we were playing with the charts, you click on it, go to Page Layout, and here with Wrap Text, I can change it to be in front of the text, behind the text. We want it to be, excuse me, sorry. We want it to be square or tight, either one works, and basically that'll force the text to go around it. Now, let's say you didn't like the way this looks. I could actually move this so the whole box is kind of on the same length. Yeah, I don't know if I like that though. Let me see. That's maybe okay. So maybe I like that. And if I liked that, figure 2 here needs to be kind of centered in this. So I actually need to center it. You can center it here, or you can go up to Home and center it here. And to really center it, I'm going to move this over a little bit. And that looks pretty centered. So now, oh, there's one issue I've noticed. When I created those text boxes, I actually have a different font up here. Here, if I click here, the font is all Times New Roman. That's professional standard font, especially for reports. But here, this is Calibri. So I actually need to change this. So this is Times New Roman. And I need to do that up here as well. Times New Roman. All right. Now I'm going to zoom out. Let's make sure that looks good. I think it looks good. All right, so now I've got my report. My report is 2 pages. There's a third page that's just white space. If you notice that, you can click on your third page and hit backspace a couple times, and it will eventually go back to the last page. That way you won't print in an empty page. And basically at this point, I think I'm ready to print. I have my 2 figures. I made sure I referenced the right figures in here. You want to make sure, figure 1 is actually figure 1 in your writing. And figure 2 should be figure 2 in your writing. So double check that before you submit. But at this point you'd be able to save, you could print it, and then you could also submit it on turnitin.com. Listen to your teacher for the next directions, but basically double check over your work at this point. Your formatting, if it looks like this, should be about done. Thank you for watching.